Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. I'm going to talk to you guys about the results from week 10 of college football. And I'm actually starting this video with me in the picture in the cam without any background. I just want to talk to you guys for a second. And first thing I want to say is this weekend was extremely humbling for me. And I say that with a smile on my face, and I kind of sit here because I know what I want to say next. You see, I didn't go through life losing my girlfriend to my best friend or to my brother or to the neighbor. I've never knowingly been cheated on. I don't have any point of reference for you guys. I can only imagine when I watch those videos of guys who like get beat up in front of their girlfriend. Let's say they get in a fight on the street somewhere and they get beat up, and then they have to go get in the car with their significant other, and you're just sitting there and you lost the fight. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go home and tell that girl to do the dishes because she might tell you she's going to call somebody else. It's just one of those humbling moments where you're just sitting there and you just have this feeling of like just failure. I can't relate. It's never happened to me. I want to tell you that in this world of gambling, people talk to me all the time and they talk about how they've had bad month, like they had a bad month, they had a bad run or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, well, I've been doing this for 2 years. And the worst it's ever been is I had a bad 2 weeks once. I had a bad 2 weeks last season, back to back. But here I am. I'm sitting in front of you. I've had a truly bad month. It's something I just can't grasp my mind around, and I'm dealing with it in different ways. I'm here every day. I'm working as hard as I can. I'm trying to get it right, and there'll be a day I get things right. There'll be a particular game I get things right, but at the totality of it, it just feels like shit. That's the only way to put it. So I'm going to go over the results from yesterday as best I can, and I'm going to pull up the charts and show you guys all the numbers, but none of that's going to really matter. What I need you guys to do is listen to the assessment or listen to the results and how we got here and try to learn from it. I'm trying to learn from it. I challenge every MVP out there to have a better record than me, to be better than me. I hope you do additional research or have a better gut feeling or avoid the potholes, if you will. I had an MVP say, Rico, it's a restaurant and the menu is filled with shit food to order. And I love the analogy because I always tell you guys the chart's a menu. You don't have to eat everything. Pick and choose wisely. But apparently I got to fire the cook or something. I'm trying my best, guys. I'm doing it with a smile this morning. I'm talking to you, but I understand it's real money. But please understand that when I miss, I lose an absorbent amount of money. It might not be in the form of betting slips, but it's definitely in the form of MVPs. They'll depart, they'll leave, and that's lost revenue for me moving forward. I never want to miss. People always say, hey man, how much did you miss on your bets? It's a little different than that. If I tell you Navy's beating Rice and I miss it, I lose a lot more than any individual person. So at the same time, if I get things right, I don't necessarily know if I gain any MVPs from that. We just retain what we have. So, enough of that. Let's talk about it. First game I'm going to go over, and I'm just going to go down the list here. Okay? I'll pull up the chart and talk about the confidence chart here in a few. We'll do it, but we're going to go down the list here. We're going to talk about Navy Rice. It was one of my favorite games of the week. I had it here on the locks list. Now, this list is such a shitty format. I've decided it's one of the worst formats, and the reason it is because it doesn't have all the games on it. And there are times I give predictions and assessments that are highly beneficial to you as an MVP, and I just don't have it. So like Cheesecake Factory, I'm going to have a pretty large menu, and you just got to find your favorite dish on that motherfucker. But having a limited menu sucks when you're making things the wrong way, and I hate having things off the menu, if I can use the analogy. But we'll go to the confidence chart. The confidence chart, I think, is a very unique premise. It's just something that we have to get down. I don't have spots in here for moneyline parlays, or at least I'm not depicting them properly. I need to do that a little better. I need to talk about it and maybe have its own section. All in all, things went really well initially. Afternoon, evening, things fell off. But more importantly, I can't believe the lack of luck, I had. And this is probably very telling. When you go and do money line parlays, money line picks, this is all money lines on the far right. The money line picks for the week ended up at 63%. I want you to know that it's literally never been that bad, ever. I do this on TikTok every single week, and I'm somewhere in the 76 range every week. 74 at worst. So to see it at this low was pretty nuts. Did not anticipate that. And then if you parlay these, you pick the wrong thing one time, you miss the whole parlay. Now, shout out to the MVPs. The number one lock parlay hit, just like the UFC. The number one parlay always hits. That's the plan. But if you bet all these, you're red as a motherfucker. And it sucks. And if you bet here, the weekday, we dominated the weekday parlay as well. Okay? And if you can't see this chart that well, it's posted everywhere. You can go find it on Patreon, on Discord, on YouTube, in videos. You can find it screenshotted. You can find the actual photo shared on multiple platforms. But when we look to the far left, this was supposed to be my locks column. It is. It's the games I like the most this week. And you see Navy and Rice was my second favorite game. It was minus 10.5. It's a game I believed in. Now, go back and you watch this game. I watched it this morning. I was going to watch it live. You know, I can only watch about 5 or 6 games live, depending on how many screens I have and whether or not a UFC fight is going on at the time. But this game got delayed for hours upon hours, like 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it was. And while I want to use that as an excuse, that's the biggest thing you could do is like come in here when you miss, you start making excuses for things. No, that's not how it works. Rice had the same delay. Now, granted, they were in their home stadium. They were relaxing and all that stuff. But Rice had the same delay, and they still came to play. When I look at Navy and I assess Navy, Navy's biggest claim to fame is they beat Memphis on national TV, and we all paid attention and saw it. And they destroyed Memphis. How good is Memphis? How good is Memphis defense? Beating Memphis is not the feather in your cap. Not that you think it is. And beating UAB isn't that impressive, and beating Bucknell isn't that impressive. And when you go back and you look at Navy's total body of work, you start going, oh shit, they're a fraud. They're terrible. They're going to lose 2 out of the next 3 games. I don't believe in Navy. Navy's coaching staff sucks. Newberry's not a great head coach. And I'm all out on Navy. Their quarterback, Horvath, he's good. He can run a little bit. They got an interesting offense. He threw 2 interceptions in this game. And I have a famous quote. I say, hey, I don't bet on food. We don't bet on food. Shout out to Sultan of SWAT. Told me, Rico, we don't bet on food. In the preseason, I said Rice is elite. And then they came out and lost some games, and I lost faith in them. And it's so frustrating when they show up the way you anticipated the 1 week you bet against them. Rice has a good defense, an explosive offense. Connors comes out. Dean Connors, good white running back. You got to believe in him. Sykes had a good game. That's the UCLA transfer. And then E.J. Warner, Kurt Warner's son, the Temple transfer. They hit on all cylinders offensively, and they still only got 24 points. But defensively, shutting Navy the hell down. I think Navy's a fraud. And I don't realize it until we're sitting here and we've lost our money. That sucks. Next game, A&M, South Carolina. I love South Carolina's defensive line. I love the way South Carolina fights, and they put up a fight in this game. I will tell you that A&M has personnel issues. They're picking the wrong people in the wrong places. Now, on the confidence chart, I was pretty low on this, but I had A&M winning this game at minus 2.5. Obviously, Vegas was extremely wrong. This is a 24-point swing the other way. So while I missed, Vegas missed immensely. South Carolina played out of their mind. They played great. Nobody wants to cover Joshua Simon. Joshua Simon, 7 touchdowns 2 years ago while at Western Kentucky, transfers over to South Carolina, was on the bench last year. Now he's here and gets 2 touchdowns in this game. Nobody's stopping Rocket Sanders. Lenore Sellers can extend plays, giving you your best ability to score. A&M has a stout defense, theoretically, and then they get throttled. Absolutely throttled. That's not a top 10 team. What's their first loss in the SEC? It's not a top 10 team, man. South Carolina smashed them. Their offense is a liability at A&M. And congratulations to South Carolina. One more win, you're going to a bowl game, bro. Come on. Louisville, Clemson. This was a lock for me. I thought Clemson would win this game by more than 10 points. Excuse me. I don't think they played particularly bad. They just couldn't stop Louisville. They just kept letting Louisville get first downs and move the ball and do things. Don't believe the film off a stat line of 30 carries, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Most of that second half, he was insignificant to me. It was Cade Klubnik running around with his head cut off, looking like a chicken with his head cut off, excuse me. It was a bad game for Clemson. I want to tell you something. If you're Clemson and you've attempted 56 passes, you failed. You have a dominant running back. You have to do something, man. You have to do something. You have to find other players, other running backs. You have to. It's just frustrating. Defensively, couldn't get Louisville off the field, and you somehow lose this game. That's bad. It's bad. Tennessee, Kentucky, another lock that missed. Tennessee was supposed to win by 15.5. They only win by 10. Struggling early. It's bad. It's bad football. Kentucky's defense is good. Their offense is terrible. They had Gavin Wimsatt on the field at the end of the game. You got no chance if Gavin Wimsatt's got to bring you back. I'm just letting you know. But I'm still not impressed with Tennessee. I don't think they're a top 10 team. Nico might be the worst quarterback in the top 10. They win the game against Kentucky. They don't cover the spread. And we miss. It happens. Pitt SMU. Not too excited about it. I thought Pitt would be competitive. I think I had them on an alternate spread at plus 14.5. Weren't even close. This shit was over at halftime. It was 31-3. Pitt didn't show up to play at all. SMU hitting on all cylinders. They look great. SMU looked like they didn't miss R.J. Maryland. You guys got to understand. R.J. Maryland, their best player, out for the season. My logic is, who's going to finish these drives? Who's going to get those third down conversions? And it did not matter. SMU far better than Pitt. That's crazy. SMU undefeated in the ACC. Miami better be ready. Wild. TCU Baylor. I had this on the chart, and I had TCU winning this game money line. TCU was a 2.5 point underdog. Baylor covers the spread and wins the game 37-34. I don't think TCU knows. I don't think TCU has a running back, okay? I watched the game. I was watching this one live during the UFC fights. And TCU's leading rusher was Savion Williams, their wide receiver, which is really weird. I think that Washington, this freshman here, the running back, Byron Washington. Is it Byron? I think it's Byron Washington. He's going to make a lot of running backs transfer out of Baylor. A lot of dudes are leaving. Good running backs, too. Richard Reese, Dominic Richardson, maybe even Pendergrass. I don't know. But somebody's leaving Baylor this offseason. They're getting the hell out of there. And they're probably headed to TCU. TCU needs a new running back. They don't have one. Cook fumbled. He's in the doghouse. They got it back, but he fumbled. TCU just losing this game is just bad football, man. Shouldn't happen. Shout out to Baylor. Oh, by the way, somebody asked me my biggest bet this weekend. My number one bet this weekend, and I said it was Baylor quarterback over 25 rushing yards. Sawyer Robertson did it. He went up for over 25 rushing yards, so that one hit. Told you to go. If you prop bettors, you should have got it. It was on the Discord server. If you were on the live stream, somebody asked me, and I answered it. Okay. Colorado State, Nevada. Brendan Lewis came back. He was back to play in this game. It didn't matter. Brendan Lewis still gets his yards. He still does his thing. Doesn't matter. Colorado State finds a way to win. Colorado State is different now, bro. They are not Braden Fowler Nicolosi is not leading this team to victory at all. They are not slicing and dicing anybody. They are running people over. They have changed their identity midseason. And this is pretty crazy because they now have 6 wins. They're now undefeated in the Mountain West, which is sneaky. Nobody's paying attention. But Colorado State's just better than the teams in the Mountain West. They're not that great, but they're finding ways to win. They're 4-0. Something to think about, okay? And then we'll go to the top 25 games. Oregon over Michigan. This was a lock that actually hit for me. It was on the confidence chart pretty high. Oregon covers the spread. Congratulations. Thank you for being who I thought you were. Shout out to Michigan for being competitive and putting up a little bit of a fight. But let's go. Florida, Georgia. Florida, Georgia. I don't know if DJ Lagway's still alive. But once he went down, it was over. I want to tell you, Georgia is really failing to impress me. Finding ways to win is fine. Getting there and doing it, that's fine. But people are calling for Gunnar Stockton, right? Gunnar Stockton, backup quarterback at Georgia. I've loved Gunnar ever since he was in high school. I've been watching him for at least 6 years now, maybe 5. I'm trying to think. I watched him. The first time I ever saw him was against Brock Vandagriff, which is pretty crazy, in high school. It was Rayburn against Prince Avenue Christian. So I've been watching Gunnar for a while. He's got to get a shot at some point. Carson Beck played like trash. Florida defense is very good, very competitive, but they were out a lot of weapons in this game, and they weren't going to be able to win the game. Georgia covered, I think, the 13.5 spread, but not 14. 14.5, whatever it was. So congrats to Georgia. If you got it, if you took the game at 14.5 and didn't buy it down a point, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell you. You're just a bad gambler. Oh, what about the EV, Rico? Keep lecturing me about EV when you just want to get bets. You gotta win, bro. You gotta get them right. Don't be preaching about no fucking EV. Get them right. Shout out to the UFC fans. They know what I'm talking about. Ohio State, Penn State. I was on Ohio State money line. I thought they'd win this game. I was on them to cover the spread as well. I got that right. Probably should have made it a lock at this point, but couldn't go there. I really respect Penn State's ability to be competitive in games. 2 very good teams, y'all. 2 very good teams. I think they both deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't care what the records say. These are 2 of the best teams in America. Go figure. Miami finds a way to beat Duke. Don't believe this score, though. It's 53-31. Duke was scoring, and Miami, they're going to eventually score too many points and win the game, but it was a lot closer than it looks. Miami better get themselves together. That defense is not making me proud. Now, they did cover the spread, so we got this right. But it was 21 points in the fourth quarter is what it took to get there. Restrepo's playing out of his mind. Cam Ward is the Heisman Trophy winner for me. 5 touchdowns, 400 yards on an undefeated top 5 team. Miami is undefeated and top 5 because of Cam Ward. That's why I think he's the Heisman Trophy winner right now. That's where I'm at on that. If you are in a top 5 team and you are undefeated because of your quarterback play, that's the Heisman winner. That's how it works. That's college football 101. So shout out to Cam Ward. He's playing out of his mind. Texas Tech, Iowa State. I went on this tangent about it on Friday night on the early video. On the final video, I told you guys, hey, I don't like Iowa State to beat Texas Tech like it's a lock or anything. It's not a lock, right? I had it on the confidence chart. It was down here somewhere. Like, I respected, it was right here. It was close to a lock. It was pretty high up. But I did talk about how I didn't feel Iowa State was going to blow out Texas Tech or anything like that. It's not the game you should be betting on like crazy. Even money line, I kept it off the locks column. And I love Iowa State. Love their secondary. I love the way they play. But there wasn't like put everything on it. No, man, we can't do that. I just said I don't fade them. I'm not picking against them. And they go and lose this game. There was some really good catches by Texas Tech wide receivers at times, really clutch ones. Coy Aiken made an amazing one towards the end. Was watching this game, every play of it. Just, it's a shame, man. Iowa State running backs are all terrible. And that's crazy because Cartavius Norton, not very good. He transferred and he went to Charlotte, and he's the starting running back there. Big deal. Eli Sanders transferred, and he's the starting running back at New Mexico. He just ran for over 200 yards on Wyoming this week. And it's just like, man, they could use somebody. They need to figure that out. They're fighting dudes. They're okay. but they don't have that dynamic running back they need. Somebody who can get them a first down when they need it. Speaking of first downs when you need it, Indiana. We needed one, man. Shout out to the locks. I told you Indiana's a lock to beat Michigan State 6.5. I believed in it. It was one of my favorite plays of the week. I still said it was a one-unit bet. Probably should have won a lot more. You just got to trust Indiana's pedigree of having a winning culture, a great coaching staff. And I told you, Indiana's just got a better team. They got better players. And we were right. A little scary for a team who's never trailed this season. Down 10-0, got MVPs. You know, the most fragile thing in the world are MVPs in general chat on the Discord server. Them motherfuckers got no backbone. None. Would never want to be in a foxhole with those guys at war. The minute we make a bet, the minute I make a prediction and it doesn't go 100% right, doesn't go to script, they're all out, bro. They're scattered. It's like cockroaches with the lights on. It's like when you kick over an anthill and all the ants are scrambling. That's the MVPs in general chat. They make me sick. And then what's cool, and I can say this about them because I don't like any of them. I know the MVPs who are going to be here year round. I know the MVPs who rock with the platform. And then there's these seasonal guys who show up for just college football. And they don't like me. They do it because they want picks and they want information and they want a message room and a message board and a server where they can talk shit and go back and forth with all their MVPs. They're paying for entertainment, but they don't like me. And they don't understand. I really don't like them. They pay $25. It's less than $1 a day. I don't like you. I never will like you. And the minute they pop off and say something stupid, they get blocked. They get blocked. Hey, thanks for your money. It was a donation. You're out of here. Boom. And there's always a few crash outs a day. And somebody crashed out when Michigan State was up 10-0 on Indiana. Seriously. They had to get blocked and removed from the server. They crashed out on Michigan State being up 10-0. 47 unanswered points, you idiot. K-State Houston. I fade K-State every week. I tell you, K-State can't win games. They have a quarterback who can't make any throws that matter. Avery Johnson is a stat merchant. He gets stats from screen passes and dump offs and tight end pops and all this bullshit. K-State is not a good team. And then this week they're playing Houston, and I go, okay, I'll stop fading them. I'll take K-State. And what happens? They lose for only the second time this year. It's fucking wild, bro. Hurts my soul. I made it a lot. I hate it. Ole Miss, Arkansas. I had Ole Miss winning this game. It wasn't a lock. It was like the very top of the B column. It was the very top of the leans. It was very close to being a lock. If you liked it as a lock, that's your business. You could have made it a lock. And that's what I want to tell you guys. Like, I have my chart. You should have your own. I have bets, or I have games that I say are no bets. I know you're making bets on them. So then you indirectly have your own chart. You do your own thing. I had a guy begging me, Rico, please don't put Memphis in the locks column anymore. Stop betting it, dude. Fade them to no fucking end. Stop betting it. Have your own standards. You don't need me to shake it for you, bro. Take your piss and put it away. Shout out to Ole Miss. They went and put up some insane numbers. Jackson Dart, 500 yards passing. Just crazy numbers. Respect Ole Miss. Army Air Force. Oh, boy. Army Air Force. My number one pick this weekend. Minus 21.5. Army Air Force. So what happened? Okay, so it's a miss. But let me explain something to you guys. I put out the video Friday night. Why do I do that? I told you, I don't want to be live streaming for 20-something hours straight on a Saturday. I used to put out the videos at 11 a.m. Saturday. So I'd put out all my picks at 11 a.m. Saturday. You have 1 hour to watch a 1.5 hour long video. The math doesn't add up. 1 hour to watch a 2 hour long video. So now you got to watch the video at 1.5 or 2.0 speed. I got MVP saying, Rico, you're putting out the picks too late. I'm not ready for the noon slate. I didn't get a chance to watch the video. So now I just had to blind tail the chart. I can't take good notes because I got to go too fast. So I hear you. So to solve your problem and mine, I start putting the video out Friday night. Friday night, I put it out. Then I get a response back from that. Oh, Rico, I love when you put out the video early. Thank you so much. Friday night, I can watch it at a regular speed. I can take good notes, get my bets in early, all this stuff. Oh, Rico, you got on it too late. The line moved, the spread moved. So what did I do this year? What have I done this year? All year long. What am I going to do later today? I do an early video. So I do the entire line. I do the entire spread of every game early on Sunday the week prior. So to help MVPs, I will change my whole life around, and I will work Sunday. Early video. I'll do an update Monday. I'll do a Dana White Contender Series Tuesday, and I got football games Tuesday. I got games Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's not enough fingers, bro, and there's no days off. Trying to appease you, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, what the fuck can I do? Oh, well, Rico hasn't told us anything about the daily. What? Get a load of this shit. Army starting quarterback, leading rusher, top touchdown scorer, All-American candidate is out for the game. And you find out 2 minutes before kickoff. You find out 1 hour before kickoff, whatever it is. And you want to talk to me? You're looking for me? You better look in the fucking mirror and make decisions. Oh, but the GPS says to go straight, but there's a cliff there. The GPS says to go straight, but there's a cliff there. I make an early chart. Army's number one. I'm good with it. If you want to jump on the bets early, go for it. It's your business. Now we go the whole week. I make the video on Friday. You want to make the bets? Go for it. There's no injury report. There's no report anywhere on the internet. Now the bet comes out. Now we're an hour from game time and they let us know Army quarterback not ready to go. The line starts moving. It goes from 22.5 down to 17.5. Motherfuckers are spamming me. Is this still your number one pick? Is this still your number one play? No! And I don't have time to answer you individually. I don't have time to make a new video. I can't make a new chart, and I'm not going to change the chart. It's still right there in the number one spot. I got to take it on the chin. Like your mother. You can't flip-flop. Not in this profession. You can't just wake up and be like, yo, I made that change but couldn't tell thousands of people. You got to be responsible for your own decision making. I'm going to tell you a true story. I had this buddy. I was in El Paso, Texas. I had this buddy. And he came to work. We were staff sergeants. We were platoon sergeants at the time. And he came to work and he was like, yo, Rico. He knows I like to dance. And he said, yo, Rico, there's this club. The ratio of men to women is out of control. All you got to do is go to this club. It's going to be popping, bro. Rico, you go in there and start dancing, you're going to get all the girls. I might have been 28 years old at the time. He says, we got to go to this club, man. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, hell yeah. He told me about it on Monday. All week long, I'm planning on going to this club. There's going to be girls everywhere. I'm coming up. I'm ready. I go, I buy a new pair of shoes. I go to Ross. I get a new shirt. I'm going to wear my favorite jeans. We're going to the club. Oh, and we're going on Thursday. Ladies' night. Thursday, ladies' night. We're all in. I already committed money to this. I already made plans to do this. And then we pull up on Thursday, and my boy is with me. He parked in the parking lot. I parked in the parking lot. We're going to walk in there together. Two dudes, hey, G'd up from the feet up, looking good, smelling good. And we're walking up to the door. There's a big-ass banner above the door, and it says Pride Week. It says Pride Thursday. I didn't need him to tell me I just missed. I didn't need him to tell me we're not going in there. You go, oh shit, I was planning on this all week. I was going to come up and I just got to the wrong spot. And what do? Well, you make decisions as adults. I know what I did that night. I walked right through that fucking door and I found a group of girls and I said, let's get it popping. And there was a bunch of girls there that night that were out to just have a good time. And they just wanted to dance. Straight. What an amazing evening it was. There were no groups of girls at the Army Air Force game. Nope. You walked through that door, you were getting poked in the bathroom, bro. You lost. You walked through that door, it didn't go as planned. But the point I'm trying to make is when you make plans for an entire week and you think you're going to get there, when it meets you in the face, when you're there in the moment, there's no way you can't think for yourself. You know, we have a Discord server. It's here at all times. And we have a channel for the MVPs. You pay for this. And it's called Injury Updates. And the injury updates, they put it in here daily out, 10:30 a.m. Daily out, 10:30 a.m. So you had an hour and a half to react. Now, if you put your bets in early, you lost. You couldn't cash out, you lost. Your bookie don't allow it, you lost. Bro, I bought new shoes and a new shirt. I lost. I was all in. I was invested. I went and got a haircut that day. I lost that day. But if you hadn't put any money in and you hadn't paid the cover just yet, you don't have to go in there. And you don't have to ask me, should we go in this club? Are there going to be girls in here? No reason that anybody should have bet on this game after 10:30 a.m. No reason. You don't need me to tell you. It's not the number one lock. We had the same shit happen last week when Ole Miss was one of my locks and Trey Harris was ruled out. MVP starts spamming me. Oh my God, Rico. Oh my God. Is Trey Harris, are we still on Ole Miss? Are we still on Ole Miss? Motherfucker, we ain't. There's no we. The chart says what it says. If I could change it, I would. But if I change the chart after I publish the video, that's the shadiest shit you could ever do. You want to talk about losing customers. You want to talk about not being transparent. Not being real with your people. Fuck that. I got on live, sat there and said, yo, we're doing this. Rico, are you still in Army? I'm still fucking here. I'm listening to Duran Duran right now. I'm rocking out to this weak-ass Billy Idol shit. And I'm doing my best to cheer for Kanye Udo. That's all I could do. But if you're an MVP, are you that hapless? Are you that fucking helpless? You don't know that the number one player's out? You can't just sit back and go, yo, I can't take that bet. I can't take that bet. Or are you a lemming? You're just walking off cliffs, bro. Sheep. I know it's election month. You guys are fucking sheep. The amount of people that lost money on Army versus Air Force should have only been the people who got on it early. If you took that bet after 10:30 a.m. when we announced the injuries on the Discord server, it was announced on the Discord server. That is your tool. That is your chat room. That is your information. And you don't use it. And it's run by you guys. You guys are the ones who are updating it. I'm not in there feeding that information. MVPs are. Trying to help each other out. If you got on it early, we got fucked. If you got on it early, you got beef with Army. Because Army didn't announce it to anybody. Never let any of us know. That's the nature of college football. There is no players association forcing them to have injury reports. Yes, the SEC is trying to have injury reports, but even then, they're all doing this sleight of hand bullshit, not telling the truth. They'll have a dude questionable, doubtful, and then he won't be on the final injury report, or vice versa. There'll be somebody not on it, and then all of a sudden they're out. Undisclosed injury. Undisclosed. Fucking dude had a herpes outbreak, bro. Well, I don't understand why he wasn't playing in the game. And he'll probably be playing now. Oh, it's not a season-ending injury. It's crazy. But the craziest thing is you guys who can't think for yourselves. I don't know how the fuck you got here, bro. Go away. Minnesota, Illinois. I was on Minnesota to win this game. Boom. It happened. Congratulations. Felt pretty good about it. Oh, by the way, I did miss. I did say Darius Taylor wouldn't have his rushing yards. At halftime, dude was like at 70 yards. They were riding his ass all the way to victory. Oklahoma, Maine. This should have been a place where you won a lot of money. I told you this was a lock for me. I believed in Oklahoma to cover this spread. It didn't get to did it get to the locks column? It might have gotten really high up on the B column. But when I talked about it in the video, if you go back and watch the video for Saturday, my final video, I just laughed at this spread. And I said, I understand Oklahoma doesn't look good. You don't think they're good, but this spread should be 45 points. Is what I said, verbatim. And they won the game by 45 points. There's just, you got to have an understanding of watching Power 5 teams versus, I'm sorry, Kim just got home. Kim? Yes. I'm making sure it's you. Because, woo! Okay. I'll stay strapped. Nonetheless, you just get in the habit of watching FCS teams versus Power 4 teams, and you know that this spread should have been a lot closer to 50 points or 45 points, not 34 points. So shout out to Oklahoma for getting it done. Thank you. Northwestern beating Purdue. I called that one as well. Purdue, I'll never believe in Purdue as long as Kendrick Breedlove's in their starting lineup. Shout out to Northwestern. Another thing is Purdue just has no semblance of a rushing attack in this game. I watched it. It was on, I have the quad chart going. I watched it. They just can't move the ball at all. It's gross. So Purdue needs to find an offensive line. They need to hit the transfer portal pretty hard. They need to spend all their money on offensive line. They got players. Jamal Edrin scored a touchdown in this game. They need to throw it to him more. He had like 50 yards receiving. He had a long touchdown. He's a beast. Shout out to them. NC State winning big. Stanford just can't stop anything. Yes, Daniels was running. He broke, but so does NC State. Waters was everywhere. Waters had a 94-yard touchdown run. It's insane. Shout out to Waters. But NC State still not as good as I anticipated. They've had a very disappointing season. Now 5-4 though. Now 5-4. Don't sleep on them. Virginia Tech, Syracuse. If you watched the early video, I told you Virginia Tech was a lock for me. And listen to this. Go back and watch the video. I went back and watched it again this morning just because I wanted to double check if I said what I thought I said. I said, this is a lock for me. It doesn't need to be a lock for you. There you go. That's how I talk sometimes. I will tell you that you are your own person and I am my own person. I have locks. You have locks. It's a lock for me. It doesn't have to be a lock for you. And I mean every word of that. I believe Virginia Tech's a better team. They have a better defensive line. They're going to dominate this game in the trenches. Oh, and then they're going to ride Baishal Tootin and Kyron Drones to victory. And what happens before the game? We get an announcement, Kyron Drones isn't playing. I go, oh, that's okay. Colin Schlee's a good quarterback. former starting quarterback at Kent State, UCLA transfer, didn't really play there. But I know Colin Schlee, he can do this. Don't worry, Colin Schlee and Baishal Tootin are going to carry Virginia Tech to victory. And then we get word, Baishal Tootin's not playing in the game. Bro, it's fucking Thursday! It's Thursday, and there's a dude with assless chaps walking in. Do you want to go in? Motherfuckers are rocking rainbows right now. What are we doing? You're at the wrong spot. If I told you it's a lock because of Kyron Drones and Baishal Tootin, and then they're not playing in the game, we get a last-minute injury update. What do you do? The fuck do you do? If I told you this dish is amazing, you got to eat this dish. Go to Olive Garden and order Mama's Trio, or I don't even know what the fuck it's called. Order Zuppa Toscana soup or whatever. And then you order it, you sit down, and there's a fly in your food. Are you eating that food? You can't. You got to fade it. Virginia Tech is my lock. My lock. I like them. And then you get word the starting running back's not playing. Would I have made Virginia Tech a lock without Baishal Tootin and Kyron Drones? No! No! And for me to have to say that is just fucking insane. These are college teams not giving us injury reports updated. And for you guys to sit there and be so rigid, like you just remind me of people who use GPSs. You just remind me of those people who like be driving and the shit will say under construction. And dudes are like, well, this is where the GPS tells me to go. And it's like, well, obviously they didn't know this was under construction. You can't go this way. There's a detour. Motherfucker, like what? Well, I think I'm going to go this way. Well, you don't have... Shout out to Syracuse for finding a way to win. Buffalo, I had them beating Akron. Congratulations. We got that right. I was not impressed with the defenses in this game, and I usually am. They did not show up and shut down anybody. Akron scared me in this game. They started scoring in the fourth quarter. 23 points. Scariest fucking thing ever. This is the second craziest fourth quarter I saw. But there's some other fourth quarters that were crazy. No, it wasn't the second craziest. It was top 5. There was some terrible fourth quarters last night or yesterday. Speaking of one, Toledo here. Toledo was going to lose this game, and they put up 22 in the fourth quarter. This game would have been very frustrating for you to watch. I told you guys we can't believe in Toledo to cover the 7-point spread, 7.5-point spread. I teased it all the way down to 2.5, thinking, well, they'll at least win by a field goal. Then they're up by 7 with a minute left, 2 minutes left. And I'm like, that's cool. No, it might have even been 45 seconds left, something crazy. And Eastern Michigan has the ball. Cole Snyder is dropping back to pass. Toledo, on 2 plays back-to-back, rushed only 2 defensive linemen against 5 offensive linemen. They rushed 2. They gave this guy all day to throw. He just dropped back. There was nothing that you could do. He could just wait. It was like playing street football with your friends when there's no rush. Not 10 Mississippi rush. Not whatever you guys want to count. No, there's nothing. You just dropping back to pass. You just get to wait all day until it's time. It's crazy. And then on the final play, they only rushed 1 person. On the final 2 plays, Toledo rushed 1 person on the defensive line, just 1, dropping everybody back into coverage, whatever. And Eastern Michigan throws a Hail Mary, and they score. Lockett, former Michigan State transfer, Terry Lockett, he catches it and scores. It was crazy. And then, a shout out to Eastern Michigan. Kick the extra point and let's go to overtime. We can still cover the spread. Nah, we're not doing that, Rico. We know you're on Toledo. We're going to go for 2 and miss. It's fucking embarrassing, dude. Craziest thing, you get a Hail Mary and then you miss the 2-point conversion. And you don't go to overtime. I don't understand it. Ugh. Memphis, UTSA. Memphis sucks. There's no other way to put it. Memphis sucks. Defense can't stop anything. I don't care that Seth Hennigan threw for 454 yards and 4 touchdowns. We got that right all day long. I had Seth Hennigan at 200 yards. I still needed Memphis to win the game. This Memphis money line was the play of all plays. I just watched UTSA melt against Tulsa last week. And Tulsa was embarrassed by UAB this week. The MMA math, the college football math is not working out for me. UTSA looked otherworldly against this defense. McCown, the Colorado transfer, the kid from Josh McCown's nephew, comes from NFL pedigree, just playing great. Out there just balling. UTSA could do whatever they wanted. And I had the MVPs on an anytime touchdown for Demir Blankenship. He's the fastest player on Memphis. He's the best player. He's so good. And he goes out there and he gets 6 receptions, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then gets injured while celebrating. Celebration injuries? Who are you, Martin Gramatica? Like, that can't happen, bro. That can't happen. I'm going to make a TikTok video on this next one, Vanderbilt beating Auburn. It's hard for me to celebrate when I get things right when I had such a bad day for the MVPs. It's hard, bro. We clean sweeped. We didn't clean sweep UFC, but every Saturday we're doing UFC fights as well. And we're so successful at the UFC. I've had a bad month in college football right now against the spread. Totality, I guess. But UFC for the month, absolute domination, like destruction domination. We hit all our locks last night. So it's hard for me. I don't want to ignore it. But if you go in here and you're talking, and I'm doing this because I'm about to talk about my success, but you see this doesn't look very green to you. You probably don't know what this means if you're not a UFC bettor. And if you're blind tailing the chart, you probably lost your ass. But the MMA, the real MVPs that do UFC all year round, they're looking at you guys going, what's the problem? What's the problem? We're sitting over here, we're green as a motherfucker. 4 weeks in a row, we've been dominating. And we even dominated this card, 307. We even hit our locks. Don't believe that hype. Well, we're talking about this, though. 9-4? Nah, we don't worry about these misses. We don't. We got all the locks right. It is green as a motherfucker. MVPs out here just wrote, hey, call me Shrek. Call me Shrek, bro. We went 3-0 on the locks, and locks for UFC's at 82%, 82.5% for the whole year. It's insane. So, Rico, what's the lock? What's so hard about it? It's not hard to get a minus 300 right or a minus 184 right or minus 230. You don't know UFC. If you think that this isn't football, bro, this is way different. It's so much more volatile. It's crazy. You don't know UFC. That being said, I pick moneyline underdogs this week. During the week, I picked Louisiana to beat Texas State. I picked Jacksonville State to beat Liberty. These are underdogs that I picked to win. So while I'm missing on the spread like crazy, there's just this knack I have for picking an underdog to win the game. And when it comes to Vanderbilt Auburn, it was pretty simple for me. I told you guys, Pavia's him. We're taking money line. I said about 1/4 of a unit is what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want. That's your business. I don't ever dictate unit sizes to you guys. I'm not that capper. I'm an analyst. I'm an analyst. I do analysis on individuals. But I'm talking about a guy in Diego Pavia who beat the hell out of Auburn last year while at New Mexico State. And it wasn't just Diego by himself. It was Eli Stowers at tight end. It was your offensive coordinator. It was your head coach. And all of those guys are at Vanderbilt right now. So the New Mexico State staff transfers over to Vanderbilt, takes over one side of the ball, says, Clark Lee, you handle the defense. We're going to handle the offense. We know how to beat Auburn. Let's go do it. And they beat the piss out of them again. Easy call for me, money line. Put my money where my mouth is. Told the MVPs we're taking this money line. And 7.5 point spread was even easier, right? I said, we're taking the spread, but I think we're going to win the game. And there you go. Vanderbilt, bowl eligible, 6-3. Fuck out of here, bro. App State, Old Dominion. I told you I was on Old Dominion on this game, and it's a miss on the chart, but I also told you don't bet it. I think App State's a better team. On my talent chart, App State's a better team. App State's been very underwhelming this year. They have not come out to play. They pick off Colton Joseph at the end of the game. Colton Joseph still played a pretty solid game. It happens. But App State finding another running back. This time they had Marshall running the ball. Bro, I'm so sick of them. I'm so sick of App State using a bunch of players I've never heard of. It's not that I've never heard of them. I know the team really well. They just aren't consistent as far as for gambling goes. They just play different players every single week. Speaking of not consistent, UAB, oh my goodness. This boy Cameron Shanks, man. Cameron Shanks had 3 touchdowns, 153 yards receiving, and he ran back a punt for a touchdown. I don't know what's happening at Tulsa. But whatever it is, it ain't good. It ain't good. Your boy Jalen Kitna spends the week hanging out at playgrounds in elementary schools and then shows up on Saturday and beats a bunch of grown men. It's awesome, man. Kitna's getting the best of both worlds. I'm sure of it. Kitna comes out here and puts work on these boys. He is not that good of a quarterback. UAB is not this good. Tulsa. Oh, this is an enigma to me. You come back and beat UTSA last week? Maybe you really were the team that was down by 35 points. Maybe that really is who Tulsa is. Tulsa's really the team losing, not the team coming back in the fourth quarter. Speaking of losing, hey, Nebraska, how's that experiment with a true freshman starting quarterback? I started the season, in the preseason, I started talking about it. I didn't think Nebraska was going to be very good this year because I didn't think Dylan Raiola would be a good starting quarterback as a true freshman. I got attacked for it, and then he played great, and then he dominated Colorado, and everybody told me I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I sat here and I went, nah, I'm going to take Nebraska over UCLA. I contradicted myself. In the preseason, I talked about UCLA getting more than 4 wins, or at least to 5 wins. I'm so torn between these two teams, it makes me sick. And I missed. One thing I'll tell you about this game is Ethan Garbers led UCLA in rushing again. It's going to take a Herculean effort for UCLA to win games. This Ethan Garbers guy's got to lead them in rushing. That's bad. Okay. Another thing is Nebraska. There could have been way more interceptions in this game. UCLA defensive backs were getting their hands on so many passes. So many passes. This, and I'm gonna shout out to Brady Cook's burner. This Mahomes impersonator does not throw with great anticipation. It's very predictable, and UCLA is out there just breaking up every pass. They're getting hands on him. It's pretty impressive stuff. Shout out to Nebraska. You suck. Speaking of suck, Florida State, I picked North Carolina to win this game. I knew it was going to happen. Chris Well's going to eventually get there. Amari Hampton dominated this game. 5 touchdowns. 1 receiving, 4 rushing. Good stuff. North Carolina, do your thing. Hey, Florida State, this is what happens when you don't build a team from recruiting. If you build your team through the transfer portal, they'll probably be pretty good until they all graduate. There's no continuity here. Arizona State beating Oklahoma State. My goodness, this was the Cameron Scadaboo thing. So this game was delayed at one point due to weather or something like that. Oh my God, or was it an injury? I think it was weather. I don't want to ignore if there was an injury. I apologize. Condolences to the injured. Cameron Scadaboo dominated this whole game. Rushing, receiving, everything. And I told you Ollie Gordon was going to get at least 60 yards rushing. F that, bro. Oh, my goodness. Oklahoma State, you're so bad. 0-6 in the Big 12. Returning every starter from last year's Big 12 runner-up team. I've never seen it in my life. Remember last year when I said Gundy should have been on the hot seat? It's something like that right now, man. I think Gundy needs to be on. I think it's changing of the guard. Kirk Ferentz, Gundy, just go, bro. Just go. Speaking of the hot seat, Arizona can't afford to fire your coach. We know they have no money in their athletic department. They can't afford to fire their coach, but it's coaching. There's just no way around it. This guy Dylan Risk. I want to say his name right. I hope it's Risk. Dylan Risk I watch the game on mute. I don't watch these games with audio going. I cannot stand the people talking during the games. So I talk to the MVPs during the games, but I watch the game. UCF should not be doing this to Arizona. This is a lot to a little, bro. This is embarrassing. This is like UCF wouldn't beat South Florida like this. They wouldn't beat fucking, I don't know, pick an FCS team. And they throttle Arizona. And Arizona, last week you thought they finally figured it out. You know, they finally hit T-Mac again. Remember T-Mac, first game of the season, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, and then T-Mac doesn't score another touchdown until last week. It's fucking insane. Think about that. 8 games, no touchdowns. 7 games, no touchdowns. Something like that. And then last week, they get him for 200 yards and a touchdown. And then this week, it's like 80 yards. Got another touchdown. I don't know what they're doing. Quali Conley fumbles in the game. I don't know. I don't know if it's preparation or lack thereof. Arizona's the second biggest disappointment this year for me, right behind Oklahoma State. Can't get them all right, but my goodness. I even took Arizona at plus 14.5. After seeing the offensive explosion last week, I'm like 14.5 against a terrible UCF team. I was wrong. It's just a misread all the way around. Arizona, Oklahoma State, those players have quit. They quit on themselves. MTSU, I took it. They were underdogs. They were 3.5-point underdogs. I said, hey, if they're getting 3.5 points, let's take MTSU to cover this spread. And I even put them on the money line list. Pretty simple pick here. Yes, they were out. They didn't have their star tight end. Holden wasn't playing in the game. But I knew that MTSU was going to be able to score. I didn't think it was going to be this kid Butler. Miles Butler goes for over 100 yards. Omari Kelly was a non-factor in the game. Another non-factor is UTEP's offensive play calling. UTEP had to go with this freshman quarterback. His name is Pickles, J.D. Pickles. Pickles is cool, man. I think he's a Texas kid. He's athletic. He's kind of just got a gunslinger mentality to him. He shouldn't be on the field right now. He should be on the bench, developing, getting ready, redshirting, all that. Instead, they're playing him, and they got to use him. And they look gross. And then they had their other running back. I'm forgetting his name right now. Is it Moss? The other kid, he's been in the doghouse ever since he fumbled a couple weeks ago, and he did non-factor in this game. UTEP's just not gelling well offensively, but MTSU gets it done. MTSU's defense should not be holding anybody to 13 points. This is a bad defense. That's worse offense. It was easy to get that one right. There we go. Marshall, I missed. They only win by 5. Marshall is a better team than ULM. I had no idea. ULM, their freshman running back, Hardy, who won't be at ULM all 4 years. He's going to transfer somewhere. Hardy rushed for 200 yards. Marshall, you got to stop that, bro. You can't let that happen. Another thing Marshall has to do is find some semblance of offensive balance. They have a good receiver in Christian Fitzpatrick. He reminds me a lot of Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzpatrick only had like 2 receptions. He did score a touchdown, but he didn't have a lot of targets or not a lot of production. And that's probably Braylon Braxton just not being accurate. But Marshall also has this issue where they try to incorporate Houston a lot, the transfer from NC State. And they don't need to, man. They have a really good running back. Just stick with one and everything will be fine. But they don't do that. They alternate series. I don't think they have all the best players on the field at all times at Marshall. I don't. And I think it's just they're overcoaching it. They have a good team. They're one of the better teams in the Sun Belt. And then ULM, they don't have a good team. They're overachieving. They're doing the best they can. They cover the spread. It sucks. Fucking A, man. Wyoming and New Mexico. A couple things I want to say about this. I took New Mexico to win this game by over 6.5. I knew New Mexico was going to win the game. I knew New Mexico was going to score a ton of points. I had New Mexico scoring 45 points. There is no way Wyoming should be keeping up with New Mexico. And they did. And they didn't stop. And at one point, this score was fine. It was 45-35. And I was like, oh, we got this. And then New Mexico stopped scoring. If you guys haven't watched New Mexico this year, they have a kid, Devin Dampier. He doesn't belong in New Mexico. He's a quarterback. He had over 200 yards rushing. It's a really weird game for New Mexico. They only had 2 people carry the ball in this entire game, and they both went over 200 yards. Let me pull up this box score. We were watching this game live, me and one of the MVPs. I forget who it was. He was talking to me in the chat. Man, I wish I remembered your name, bro. He was talking to me during the game. We were going back and forth in the messages while this game was going on. And I'm like, yo, Devin Dampier's doing it. He's Houdiniing this shit. He's doing it. But look, man, Devin Dampier and Eli Sanders, the Iowa State transfer, the only two guys to touch the ball running. And 5 touchdowns among them, 400 yards rushing. You don't lose a game when you have 2 200-yard rushers. You don't. Unless you have the worst defense of all time. And New Mexico has the worst defense of all time. Shout out to Ryan Davis. He's a holdover. He actually followed Brian Vincent over here from UAB. So he stuck around. Ryan Davis is a UAB transfer. He should probably be at ULM right now, but he's a good receiver, good little white dude. Caleb Medford, good receiver from TCU. Good big body kid. Didn't work out at TCU, but he's here now. This is a great offense, and they couldn't do anything. One thing that really hurt them in this game, and I didn't know, man, and I wish I knew. If you guys aren't aware, Harrison Whaley is a starting running back for Wyoming. I've talked about Harrison Whaley for 2 years now, and I've talked about him every week, but he never plays. And I mean that literally. He never plays. Harrison Whaley was once the leading rusher at NIU, Northern Illinois, 3 years ago, something like that. Transferred to Wyoming last year, had a good season, fine. He went into some surgery, got some off-season surgery, injuries, all this stuff. So he starts this year. He's the number 1 running back at Wyoming. And I believe in Wyoming because of Harrison Whaley in the preseason. And then Harrison Whaley doesn't play the first week, second week, third week. And then they make the announcement, Harrison Whaley's not going to play this year. He's going to redshirt. And then they revise the announcement. Harrison Whaley will play in the final 4 games of the season for Wyoming. But he wants to maintain his red shirt. And then he's going to probably hit the transfer portal and leave. Or is he going to stay? I don't know. Harrison Whaley's so good. And I didn't know he was playing in this game. So part of that is on me because I know how great he is. Did I know we're in the final 4 games of the year? It happens, man. And this is what happens when I'm doing this for 50 games on a Saturday. That little detail can really fuck me over. Or you. And Harrison Whaley kept Wyoming in this game individually, just by himself. Almost 200 yards rushing by himself, 6 yards a carry. Very effective, moving the chains. It's not like I don't know who he is. It's not like I didn't know this was happening. Just forgot it was the final 4 games of the season. Because they made that announcement like back in early October, late September. And that sucks, man. That hurts. So, New Mexico, man, you go out there and you put up crazy numbers like that and you still don't win the game. It's fucking wild. Troy, congratulations. Shout out to Evan Kramer, good friend of the channel. Troy finds a way to win. I wasn't on them to win, and I missed. Is it a misread? I don't know. They just couldn't stop Damian Taylor. Coastal Carolina sucked. It's bad. Shout out to Tucker. He's a big play guy. Tucker's a big play receiver, 6 catches, 106 yards. He's always getting 20 yards a catch. Something to think about when you're looking at props. Tucker. Mississippi State covers the spread. Beats UMass just like we thought, 17.5. We'll take it. UMass sucks. Hawaii. Oh, my God. Hawaii might be better than we think. Hawaii is very good against the run. They can shut down any Russian attack. They even made Genty look human when they played Boise State. They really shut down Fresno State's Russian attack. Fresno State's offense in this game was like this dink and dunk shit. Nothing went downfield. Nothing went for massive yards. They might have finished with less than 200 total yards. Fresno State finished this game with less than 200 total yards. It's a total miss by me. I had no clue that Nick Senecal, or Sencali, whatever his name is, was going to go ham at receiver. Hawaii's just tough. They're just stout. Hawaii might be better than you think. You heard it here first. I think Hawaii's going to win 2 of the last 3 games. Hawaii, well, they won't go to a bowl game because 2 of their wins are FCS opponents. I know they beat Delaware State at the beginning of the year, and they beat another FCS opponent. Can't remember who it was. But, so 2 of those wins don't count. Hawaii's a good team, though. I shouldn't say they're a good team. Fresno State's got problems. Iowa, Wisconsin. Woo, woo. Yeah, we picked Iowa in this one. Pretty simple. Iowa's just more stout. Got a great defense. Figured out how to score 14 points in every single quarter. Wisconsin just fell apart. physically manhandled and beat up, and they didn't get it done. And Iowa's rushing attack, I had Johnson anytime touchdown on the prop chart. What a great job. What a great job. Oh, yeah, Brendan Sullivan, starting quarterback. I told you guys Brendan Sullivan should be the starting quarterback at Michigan when he hit the transfer portal. I made a video about it on YouTube. I used to do transfer portal. I go to the live tab on YouTube, click live, and then scroll down. You'll see all the transfer portal episodes. I did hours and hours and hours talking about every transfer portal player. And one of the players I talked about was Brendan Sullivan when he hit the portal late. And I said, oh, that guy's good. He can play anywhere. And this was the Northwestern starting quarterback last year. I think he's really good. And how he gets to Iowa and they put him on the bench, I'll never know. But he played pretty good. Didn't have to throw too much, but he ran, scored a touchdown doing that as well. It's just good game manager. Like the kid. He's got a little bit of moxie to him. Speaking of moxie, don't be showing me no Miller Moss. Don't be showing me Miller Moss. Miller Moss is minus moxie. Miller Moss throws 3 interceptions in this game. 30 for 50. Woody Mark still scores a touchdown. Zion Branch still gets 100 yards. USC finds a way to lose this game. They had the ball at the end of the game. They could have won it. They could have won it. Bums. Don't cover it. I get it wrong. And then it's only fitting Georgia Southern finds a way to win this game. This is fucking gross. Georgia Southern is not better than South Alabama. They're not. It's not close. It's not close. You're down 30-14 in the fourth quarter. This is the second time Georgia Southern's done this, where they come back from losing in the fourth quarter and they come back to win the game. The second time, and the same thing happens. J.C. French goes down with an injury, the starting quarterback. In comes in Dexter Williams, off the bench, and he leads them back to victory. The backup quarterback, this is a 5.5-point spread. I'm on South Alabama. And for whatever reason, Gio Lopez wasn't in the game at the end of the game. I don't know if he got hurt or what, but he wasn't in there. And they had him, the other kid, I forget his name, starts with a B. But this is a team in South Alabama that's much better than Georgia Southern. Fluff Bothwell has 2 rushing touchdowns. They don't use him enough. He only had 6 carries. Georgia Southern is not good, man. And they win the game. 4-1 in the Sun Belt. That's fucking crazy. 20 points in the fourth quarter. What am I supposed to do? Well, that's all the results for Saturday. Like I said, a very humbling experience. I'd equate it to getting beat up in front of your girlfriend and having to show up with her in public. This is a bad run. This hurts. This whole month, I've never seen anything like it. I guess when you go green for a whole month, you ever seen anything like it? I don't know. Last year, I only had 2 bad weeks. This year, it's just fucking grotesque. Numbers are what they are. I'm about 5% off of where I want to be. That hurts. Only semblance of grace here is the talent chart is 100% right, or at least it's more right than it's wrong. Moneyline underdogs, we're knocking it out the park. Absolutely knocking it out the park. Confidence chart, I love it. It's a work in progress. We need to just refine some things. We want to see some trends. Everything was just kind of everywhere. The only trend I see is that the no bets were fucking flawless. The no bets were beasts. You should have went out and bet all the no bets. You would have been just fine. Trying to parlay, the winners would have been great. We should have probably round robin Ole Miss, Indiana, and Memphis, and that would have worked out because. And I gave a round robin in the UFC, and guy says, "Oh, you don't round robin minus 300. There's no EV in that." Well, there's no EV in losing, bro. So win some of your parlays, win some of your bets. But parlaying Indiana, Ole Miss probably would have been the best bet to make in the parlays. Would have flipped a unit. It sucks, man. Don't want to miss. Want to get some of these right. But look, I got all these right. The trend is I'm going to be right on the coin flips. I don't know. It sucks. Would have been really good if I parlayed this stuff. But we got to figure that out. Got to figure it out. Try my best, y'all. See what happens. Thank you for being an MVP. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting and supporting the platform. Remember, if you walk up to a club and it says Pride Week, and that's not your cup of tea, get the fuck out. Don't go. If you walk up to a football game and I've given you my analysis, and I've talked about certain players, and they're not playing in the game, you can't take the bet. You don't need me to tell you that. You should know that. Please, don't let this happen to you. This Army, Virginia Tech, these 2 games right here, don't let it happen to you. You can be better than that. I can't change it. I put it on the chart. I can't change it. Saturday morning, you get news the star players aren't playing on these teams. You don't take those fucking bets. You just don't. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.